Ahoy everyone, Captain Maelstrom here. In this new Player's Guide series, I'm gonna share basic but super important informations. These informations will help you learning, understanding, and if you apply what you've seen and heard in these videos, mastering the game. If it's hard to understand what I'm saying, open the subtitles. I wrote them so it's more understandable than the one Google makes automatically. In the past 3.5 years, I put 5,000 hours into this game, so I know it as the back of my hand. In this video, we will talk about interrupts. Interrupt is often being called boop in short. This means you attack the behemoth during its unstable move, which results in a sort of staggered state. You can see orange lines above the head of the behemoth during this move. During this time, you have a short 5 to 10 seconds attack window to deal damage to the behemoth while it's on the ground. Overpowered Cell also grants damage bonus while the behemoth is on the ground after interrupt. Starting the fight with interrupt can result in stagger lock. This means you chain the crowd control effects to keep the behemoth on the ground. So after interrupt, you stagger the behemoth, keep breaking parts, and if you manage to break 2 or 3 parts, you can get a second stagger, and at this point the behemoth has no chance to get up. Interrupting with Urska legendary ability instantly frees the behemoth, so it stays on the ground 25% longer, so you have more time to apply additional crowd control effects, so stagger and part break. Most of the behemoths has interruptible moves, and some of them doing it very often and at the start of the fight. For example, Embermane. If you don't know how to interrupt it, or don't know what interrupt is, you have zero chance to deal damage to it. But if you can interrupt it, you can kill it super fast. The difference between knowing how to interrupt and not knowing it is huge. Players who don't know how to interrupt might take 3 to 5 minutes to kill a behemoth, while players who know how to interrupt takes 1 maximum 2 minutes to kill any behemoths with the same gear. First, I show every interrupt for every behemoth and how to force behemoths to do this interruptible move. Next, the universal interrupts, so Grenade, Legendary ability, and Omnicells. For this, I don't show them for every behemoth, only for Discipline because it's the strongest, so most popular Omnicell. Then every weapon and every behemoth, except Repeaters, because even if Saboteur's Grip can interrupt, Repeaters prefers the universal interrupts. So let's get started. Most of the behemoth's interruptible move has about 30 to 40 seconds cooldown. Enrage resets the cooldown. Behemoths with multiple different interrupt moves has cooldown on each different interrupt moves. For example, Koshai. Koshai starts with normal jump interrupt, then it can be interrupted again right away with a turn back jump. There are two kinds of interrupts. Normal interrupt, which rarely called unstable attack, and damage threshold interrupt, where you have to deal about 1 to 2000 damage to a behemoth to be interrupted. You have to deal this damage with attack which are able to interrupt. So strikers or sword light attack or repeater shots and chamber abilities damage does not contribute to this damage. Behemoth interrupts. Gnasher has a somewhat random movement. To bait the interrupt, either you have to get really close in front of it or force Gnasher to walk towards you. Gnasher either slides only once or 4 times back and forth. To interrupt it, you have to hit its head. Quillshot can be interrupted only during rage. This happens twice per rage, right after the start of rage and after a few attacks. You can easily notice when Quillshot is interruptible because it will keep shooting quills. To interrupt it, you have to deal a set amount of damage on any part of Quillshot with attacks which are able to interrupt. Shrike movements are also semi-random. When Shrike runs away, it either sends a projectile attack or do the interruptible flight. Shrike can also back off, leaping backwards, sending a tornado. Next, Shrike do the interrupt. The other interrupt is right after Enrage, when Shrike starts to fly again. If you aren't too far, you can interrupt Shrike without taking damage. Embermane charge at you whenever it isn't staggered, though it has many types of interrupts. Embermane runs far away, then charge at you. The most usual ones are the hops. Embermane hop around 2 or 3 times, then jump at you. Last interrupt is the first normal run interrupt. but during Ether Charge mode. Embermane runs away, shoots fireballs. If you are far from Embermane, it will charge at you. Just like normal Gnasher, Blaze Gnasher can be interrupted the same way. Vanguard roll can be baited by you being far from it. If you are too close, it will flip. Vanguard can flip 2 times, then no matter how far you are, it will roll so you can interrupt it. To bait Screev's interrupt, you also have to be far from it. Screeve throws ice towards you, then starts flying up. While it's on the ground, dealing enough damage to it can interrupt it, but it's better to interrupt the flight. Unlike Blaze Gnasher, Frost Gnasher has different interrupts besides the normal slides. After a slam, Frostcorn has an interruptible headbutt move. To interrupt this, you have to break the ice armor on his head, as it won't be interrupted. After reach, it spins 2 times back and forth, which is also interruptible. Third Frost variant, Frost Embermane. Frost Embermane runs away twice, then charges towards you. The second interrupt is the grab attack. This can be interrupted at the end of the animation. Nizaga starts the fight by sending a Storm Shockwave, then does the interruptible slide attack. If you happen to miss it, you have a second chance to interrupt it when it's coming back. During Ether mode, if you destroy the big pylon, it staggers Nizaga. This isn't a true interrupt because it doesn't count in the mastery as interrupt. Normal Stormclaw starts by charging at you, while Dire Stormclaw starts by sending a shock ball if you are far enough. You can either send the ball back, which shocks Stormclaw, or dodge the ball and interrupt the charge. After that, Stormclaw teleports away. If you press the camera center button, it points towards where Stormclaw will jump out. Next, the pylons. Stormclaw jumps and spawns 5 pylons. After the 5th, it jumps on the Slayer and this can be interrupted. Skarn has 2 interrupts. If you stand in front of it, Skarn stands on 2 legs. During this, if you deal enough damage to it, you can interrupt it. Skarn starts with Tornado if you keep your distance from it at the start. Hitting the rocks also interrupts Skarn, so you don't have to aim for its body. Koshai has 3 interrupts. Koshai starts by spamming thorns, then throwing thorns, then as the third move, jump. Next, Koshai headbutts you. If you are at the right distance behind it, Koshai does the turn back jump. When Koshai turns into Aether mode, go behind its tail. This will trigger the hanging interrupt, which has damage threshold. If you deal enough damage, Koshai will be interrupted. After Aether mode, Koshai burrows under the ground. If you don't move, it will perfectly jump on you, and like the first normal jump, you can interrupt it. Carbok has 2 interrupts. To bait the first, you have to be slightly outside of melee range from it. Carbok teleports behind you and flies through you. If you interrupt it, Carbok can repeat this move a few times if you are at the right distance from it. The second interrupt is during Aether mode. Carbok flies away, throws leaves, then as a third move, flies towards you, slicing the ground. Be careful with Terra Embermane, because after the first interrupt, it won't do that for quite a long time, so make sure to interrupt it. During Aether mode, Embermane spawns a rock tunnel. If you are in the tunnel, Embermane will charge towards you. Valomir has 2 damage threshold interrupts. To get the rage interrupt, you just have to deal around quarter of Valomir's health to make it go rage. For Aether interrupt, it takes about 2 minutes to go Aether. At the start of Aether mode, Valomir spawns 2 red and 2 purple crystals and a lot of lasers and you can interrupt it. Riftstalker also starts with interrupt. When Rifty jumps into a portal, it spawns a portal in front of you, so be careful where you're looking at. During Rage, Riftstalker rapidly jumps in and out of the portals. With some weapons, it's really hard to interrupt this because you don't get iframe or the weapon doesn't have enough range. The third interrupt happens in the murder place. There are many ways Riftstalker can be interrupted. Sometimes Rifty jumps out onto its feet, then goes below. Most of the time Riftstalker attacks you, which can be interrupted. Shout can be interrupted only during darkness. To bait the interrupt, make sure to be in front of Shroud. If Shroud doesn't start with interrupt, then go in front of it, as close as you barely can see the beak sticking out of darkness. Lastly, Keystone Beamets. Malkavion starts with the grab attack, then spawning vents. As the third move, Malkavion does the interruptible attack. Right after it charged, Malkavion starts with the interrupt move up to 3 times. When you're playing with other players and someone gets grabbed, it can be interrupted by dealing enough damage to it. If you want to bait Torgadoro's interrupt, go to the side of the arena, a bit far from Torgadoro, which will trigger the tornado spin attack. Unlike Skarn, if you hit the armor, so the arms, it won't interrupt the beamet. To interrupt it, you have to get inside the tornado, then attack Torgadoro from there. Like Malkavion, Torgadoro grab attack can also be interrupted by dealing high damage to it. Drex starts with interruptible move if you are close enough. Drex also has a damage threshold grab attack. Lastly, Chronovore. Chronovore can be interrupted right after Rage. Chronovore turns away, then does 2 rounds which can be interrupted. To interrupt it, stay on its right side. Next, Standing Teleports. This can have 3 variations. First, Orb Spam, interruptible only after the last slam. Second, interruptible during the whole move since the start till finish. Third, interruptible after every slam. The last interrupt is the hard to take. When Chronovore spawn vents, you have to jump to interrupt this. Now, weapon specific interrupts. With Aether Strikers, the second part, the flurry attack, left right right combo is the best way to interrupt beamets. This attack is fast and has longer range than normal Strikers attack. Koshai requires a different technique which might be a bit too hard to perform. For this you have to light attack on the ground, spam jump, then use heavy attack in the air to interrupt it. If it's too hard, you can bait the turn back interrupt, but you can interrupt easier with the roll plus heavy attack. For damage threshold boops, you can deal damage with attacks which can interrupt, so heavy attack, Karma Breaker or special. Either Bolt or Titan, but Titan is overall better because it's faster and deals stagger damage. With hammer, the most usual way to interrupt is the evasive blast. To use it, don't press any directional button and press right click twice rapidly. If you are too slow, you will just spawn the land breaker buff. You can also use this move with directional buttons. You run away from the behemoth, use right click once or twice to perform a hammer jump, which is also able to boop. This move is much more stylish but harder to perform. And if you don't want to spend ammo or using Molten Edict, which is unable to interrupt this way, you can jump sideways and press light attack. Make sure to not use any directional button when pressing the light attack, because you want horizontal attack, not vertical. For damage threshold, fastest way is either prime the attack or use Aether Slam. The explosions can also boop both normal and damage threshold interrupts. But if you are really new to hammer, you can just use concussive special for interrupt. The longer you hold it, the bigger its range will be. With Chainblades, you want to dash into the behemoth to get iframe and use bladed attack. This method works against the majority of the behemoths. The only behemoth which requires a different technique is Koshai, since you have to jump plus bladed attack to interrupt Koshai while it's in the air. To do this, try to get below Koshai, so you're not gonna take damage from the jump attack. Damage threshold interrupts, you have to deal somewhat high damage. You can either go with the normal Chainblade combos, spam Reaper Dance Blade attack, or Reaper Dance Slam if it has at least 4 stacks to deal enough damage. With Warpike, there are plenty of ways to interrupt behemoths. The most safest way is the payload. You have to hold it till the circle will be very small, which indicates it will be accurate, then release it to shoot. If you don't release it or release it without holding it down, it will be extremely inaccurate. Roll Stab and Roll Slash can also interrupt, But with the Warpike rework, Warpike rolls further and this attack requires much more distance and time to perform, so I do not recommend this anymore. What I recommend is the sprint stab. This might require good internet connection to don't take damage from the interrupt, but most of the time you will hit the behemoth before it hits you. If nothing else works, spin is also a good option. Personally, I don't like it, but in special cases like Koshai, where you have to jump, or Riftalker Rage Interrupt, where you have to keep your distance, it's very useful. For damage interrupt, you can just spam the spin attack, or if the behemoth is far, then use payload.
Chances I don't care if I am fencing brighter. Yeah, oh boy, I'm telling goodbye, I'm telling goodbye. Yeah, oh boy, I'm telling goodbye, I'm telling goodbye. When the night was closing in, I was alone and so afraid. Couldn't see the light, no. Then my world began to spin. Where's the beginning and where's my omega? Had to make it right.
My personal favorite for interrupt, X. For easier interrupt, you can use the Throw Special Grim Onslaught or the trial version, which is a bit weaker, Relentless Onslaught, to interrupt behemoths from a safe distance. But to keep the special till you get full meter, so you can deal higher damage and level up the determination faster, you can just use jump plus heavy attack. Just like with hammer, you want to jump sideways, but unlike hammer, you can use directional button in the air and still perform horizontal attack to have more range. You can also turn in the air, so you can corrigate your timing if you jump a bit too early or a bit too late. Against short behemoths, you either need a different timing for the jump, so you attack on the ground when landing, or my signature interrupt move, backwards. By standing backwards to a behemoth after using the attack, the weapon stays behind you for a short time. The behemoth can run into the weapon and gets interrupted. Against Koshai, jump plus vertical attack is the best. For damage threshold boosts, either attack normally or just use the X throw. Next, Sword. Sword also has plenty of ways to interrupt. If you don't have Meter or Valor, you can use the same technique as with Hammer and X, jump plus heavy attack. Like for the other weapons, this might take a bit of practice to get the distance and timing right. If you have 3 points of Valor, you can use the hold heavy attack, which sends a projectile which can interrupt. If you have full meter, you can interact with Avenging Overdrive parry. Other special which is able to boop is Ardent Cyclone, but only the finisher can do that. And like on X, I also prefer to use backwards interrupt on sword against behemoths like Nizaga or Riftstalker. The damage over time attack, Echo, can also interrupt if you use charged sword focus mod. It's really hard to boop with this because it takes 6 seconds to activate. For damage threshold boops, use the full heavy combo or the left-left-right combo.
There's a place where you can run free. Time does not exist. Take a chance when the road before us falls under our face. I can't hold on. I can't remain so strong. We have the same old bond, but everything is wrong. My love is gone, but I've been born. I can't make it on my own when I'm alone. My love is gone.
Lastly, repeaters. Repeaters can interrupt only Saboteur's Grip, which requires to be empowered, so you can't even use it at the start of the fight. Grenade is an easy but limited option. You can also use legendary abilities like Torgadoro Slam, Malkarion Teleport, Trex Teleport, and Urskaval. With Trex Teleport you can boop the normal and the damage threshold boops. To interrupt normal ones, dodge through the attack, then use the ability. This will instantly boop the behemoth. And with the slam you can follow the behemoth. The slam deals higher damage, so this is able to interrupt damage threshold interrupts.
I can't remain so strong. We have the same old bond.
But the best way to boop with repeaters is the Omnicell ability. At the start I mentioned Iceborne, Bastion and Discipline all can interrupt, but Discipline is the strongest one and has the lowest 15 seconds cooldown, so I will show mostly Discipline boops. Discipline tap has two parts. To get stack you have to iframe the attack, and to interrupt you have to deal damage to the behemoth, most of the behemoths charging towards through you. Discipline tap has a short delay and attack forward, and I figured out the most consistent way to use this, which is backwards. It also works if you're standing sideways, so this way you can also see the behemoth.
Settle down in the place of dreams. Float away in the scenery. Take a backpack of what you need. Let's explore the world we see. All the dangers have been made up. You believe what they say. Through the heartache, I would stargaze. No invasion today. We've come this far.
That's everything for now. If you watched the video from the start till finish, you are awesome. I hope this guide helped, or at least I could say something new. Some or many of the clips might look outdated due to the lantern tap ability, but don't worry, because everything what this video is about is 100% up to date and it won't be outdated for long years. If it was helpful, make sure to drop a like, and if you want to see more videos, subscribe. Make sure to check out the other new players guide, which are as detailed and informative as this one. Thank you guys for watching, have a good day.